Hello!
Hello!
Happy day.
Happy day.
We don't even know when you're going to see this, but it may
Tomorrow.
be a Monday. It may be Friday.
Yes.
It may be Saturday.
It may be in
Any day.
3
You
days.
may watch it twice.
It's for us to know and you to find out.
Woo! Yes. Either way, we're spicy today because we've got a spicy topic
Yes.
to have a conversation about.
Spicy topic.
What are we talking about today, Amy?
Today we're talking about expectations and how expectations change with the personalities that we deal with.
Yes.
Yes. And it's a big one. I feel like we've tackled some really giant things this time.
It's been so heavy.
So heavy, but
So
I think
that's why it's a series. We're really pushing it to the limits, and then we're gonna have to go on vacation. We should go on vacation together and then film.
And then
you're
that would
like,
be
look
much
at
better.
everything. Look at all the accomplishments we've achieved.
Yes.
Look at all the growth. Growth is hard. It's painful.
It is. But hopefully you are gaining some stuff from this. At least maybe a little insight or some food for thought
Or humor
as we go, and really have some maybe steps to put some new things in place.
Yeah.
That's basically what we're hoping anyway.
When we were talking about this and creating this whole plan or
Series.
whole series, if you will, it was kind of cool because we have never done this type of thing where we've actually planned it out.
Right.
And we were really just brainstorming, to be honest. Lots of notes on like scribble, chicken scratch on a piece of paper.
Right.
And then now that we're actually doing it, I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm applying this into my daily life as well. So every time that we talk about it, we're learning and growing at the same pace you guys are. So it's kind of neat to see people in their own world, in their own realm, using these types of tools, and then us to be able to kind of explore it for ourselves as well. So it's different
and I
each
think
time.
too,
I love it.
it kind of gives some credence to really all you got to do is put some thoughts down on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
That starts to give you some direction. Yeah. So that's really how we did it. We just put some thoughts down on a piece of paper.
We did. And I mean, expectations, I mean, we know it's hard for everyone, but it's definitely, if you are kind of the way Amy and I are, very similar in the fact of the need to please, or just wanting people to feel loved and adored. You know, you're always focusing on others to make sure that they are taken care of, that they feel their own worth.
Right.
That we forget our own sometimes. We have to be reminded. Expectations can really get twisted.
Well, and interesting thing about expectations, because I've been grappling with this for a long time, and really the way to deal with expectations is to have as few as possible. Because the more expectations you have, the bigger chance there is for us to be disappointed. And when we don't have control over somebody else and we have expectations of someone, the chance of them not meeting our expectations is very great.
Yes. And I think too, defining your I think of some people don't even go as far as to define what it is that they're looking for. And sometimes, or at least I know with myself, I mix up the expectations that I want of myself or that I give onto others, and I project that onto someone else that may not be able to physically and mentally provide that for me. And that has been such a mind-blowing way to like revert my brain into thinking into it, because I used to get so frustrated as to why this person couldn't do X, or I'm not understanding, like if I could do it, they could do it, like if I, and you know, putting almost like responsibility on them that they don't need to have, that I have on myself, and for what reason either. So there's so much to really uncover.
I agree. It is a very, very tricky topic. And then when we were talking too about all the different personalities of people that are in our sort of orbit, and trying to say, how do those things play into the expectations that we have on those relationships, it makes another whole layer of complexity that frankly makes my head want to explode.
I know. And it's neat too. I think what me going through what I've currently been going through in my life, you know, with just a breakup, a move, a transition, growing in my company, and then also growing as a person, I've had to learn to let certain people, it's not necessarily let them go, but allow them the space to be who they are, but know that I need to be okay with that expectation that I was putting on them. I know that they can now not meet it, so I now need to be aware of that. And it's more of like being aware with yourself that, hey, this person, and it's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's saying that I may need something,
right?
And I know that maybe that person is not equipped with that same mentality, and everybody is so different, and that's the cool thing about life,
right?
And that's why you learn so much from so many people,
right?
But being okay with that and understanding that,
right,
is the huge key here, because I really didn't. Sometimes I spent most of my nights sleepless, waking up at 3 a.m. being like, I don't understand, and it's like, it's not for me to understand, because it's not me. It's not my life that, you know.
And that's a huge jump. That's huge
the hard part. That's the pain,
thing, right? Because we've got so many expectations of what we think things should be.
Yes.
And that should word is so difficult.
Dangerous.
Because as soon as you start shoulding somebody else,
mm-hmm.
it really puts a responsibility on them that they didn't ask for
or know about. Yeah, seriously.
Right?
Like, they don't know what I'm thinking about at 3 a.m. or you know.
Right. And so and that is not their fault. No. And that's where those expectations, and then what happens is then we're up at 3 o'clock in the morning thinking why, and really and truly it's why did we put those shoulds on them in the first place?
Exactly.
Why did we do that? Why did I do that? And that is a huge shift in thought processes. It's a huge shift in thought process. It is hard. And the least that you can should somebody, or the least that you can put an expectation on somebody, the happier you will be.
Mm-hmm.
Truly, the happier you will be. And it is how, I was just thinking this, how have you gotten to the place where you could make that shift?
You asked me.
Well, I'll answer too.
Yeah, definitely. But I got to that place because I did a lot of inward work.
Right.
I never realized that was what it was. And, you know, when I talked to Kim,
mm-hmm.
there, hey, Kim, Waterrose, she's always like, you always talk about she loves it. But anyway, I was always questioning why
mm-hmm.
on someone else. And then it was just a really great question of, that's a good question. Why?
Yeah.
And so when I turned it back around onto myself is when I started to feel that shift.
Yeah.
In all the right ways too. And it's kind of cool. You want this, you don't understand because you're trying to understand, and it's not like a control thing necessarily, but it's like the only thing that you have control over is you and your reactions and your way of life. So you have that. It kind of gave me a sense of even more power and more confidence in myself, because I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't do that. That's necessarily not something that I want, or, you know, that I need, or that I do in my personality and the way I react. But that doesn't make it right. And it doesn't make it that some way somebody else is going to handle a situation.
Sure.
And once I started reminding myself of that daily, and then putting it to good use. Like I used it small. I started small, and then all of a sudden it started to just roll over and just, flood into my life.
Yeah.
It did make everything, I felt like the why disappeared and the understanding came into light. And that was so I felt a sense of ease and peace.
Right.
Because I wasn't trying to solve all the world's problems because they weren't mine anyway.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool feeling to have.
Yeah.
So it took time, but and I started little, but like I said, once you do it like 1, 2, 3, it's like every day.
Right.
So.
And I think for me, I got sick and tired of being disappointed all the time.
Hell yeah. Oh, bleep that out. Sorry. I've been doing so well this series.
We'll put a little disclaimer.
I've been doing so well this series. I haven't said one cuss word. Darn.
It's all good.
Y'all know me. You know I do it.
But yeah, I got sick and tired of being disappointed.
Yeah.
I mean, and so I'm like, there's got to be a better way because this is not fun.
We're running out of options.
This is not fun.
Not.
And then it forced you to say, well, why am I disappointed all the time? Yeah. And if I don't want to be, then what do I have to do to make it so that that's not it? And
so what do you do? Like, how is it different for, like, what do you do when you talk about expectations internally? Like, what is kind of like your game plan in your head?
So really and truly, expectations for me internally are to live in a way that honors who I am every day. And do I fall short? Of course, but that's really, I mean, and that's like expectations from like the big umbrella point of view. I mean, as far as day-to-day stuff, telling the truth and being kind and trying to understand and those kinds of things, the nitty-gritty stuff. But all of those things are, the small minutia things of the bigger picture of just making sure that I'm trying to be as true to who I am every day as I can be. And then honoring the people that are in my life and knowing that, like you were saying, that what is important to me is not always important to others.
Right.
And that's okay.
It is okay.
That's absolutely 100% okay. But
also too, I love how you said that you talk about, honoring or, respecting what you want.
Yeah.
And almost people use protective as a negative word, and I like the term protective.
Oh yeah.
You're so right. It's like you have to be protective of who you are. Don't give that. I think that's where the disappointment then in turn comes up, because you're not being true to yourself.
Right.
Because you're trying to please, and I'm saying that coming from me, like I do that all the time, and then I'm wondering why I'm sitting up at 3 a.m.
Right.
and I'm like, oh, because that's not what I wanted.
Right.
So you know what? I got to remove myself, and that's
Yeah.
cool, and
that's
I'm cool
okay.
in the end. It's all good.
Yeah.
So that I loved when you said that.
Yeah.
I think
Well, thanks.
like being protective of yourself while honoring others. Is so cool.
Well, and I think too, as you get older and you realize that really the only person that I have control over is me.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that point, expectations for others really just falls away.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you know that the only person that you have absolute control over is yourself,
Right.
then truly you can't place expectations on other people.
I agree with that. And I think going back to the toolbox, we
Right.
always talk about the toolbox. And
Right.
some people just don't have certain tools that maybe you do. And that's
Right.
all good.
And
Everybody's box
they
is
may have
different.
some that you don't.
Yeah. And that's great
Yeah,
too.
and that's great too.
But knowing that you being self-aware
Mm-hmm.
and then understanding that person may not have that resource available at this point in time,
Yeah.
and it might change,
Right.
then being accepting of that.
Right.
And I was also going to say too, expectations are ever evolving.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
I mean, when we were talking about they may not have that tool at that moment in time.
Right.
People are changing just as much as you are.
Yep.
I can't even, it's gonna hurt coming out of my mouth, but giving yourself grace.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yes.
That's so hard for me to do. But
Well,
you got to, because everything's happening. Everybody's changing and growing all the time.
Well, and you know what? When I get real, like, bogged down by things, that idea that other people are changing as well gives me so much hope, because honestly, still to this day, it drives me crazy that I can only control myself.
I know.
That I can't control other people.
No. Why?
but when I go back and think, no, but they're changing too. They have the opportunity to change too. That goes to optimistic Amy's heart, like so well. That I'm like, okay, I can control me. I can take my life by the reins and get excited that other people are doing the same.
Yes.
And that makes me not be too wound up about not being able to control everything.
Why not?
I know.
Hey, life just isn't fair, is it?
No.
It is. It's really cool to be. I love it. It's like protection, understanding, and accepting. Like those are like 3 key words that I feel like have really resonated in this conversation.
I agree.
And maybe can be a tool or a useful, thing for people listening into this.
Yeah. I think a lot of times people think, again, it's selfish to be protective.
I know they don't like, it's a negative connotation to the word.
They feel like it's selfish, like it's I'm only thinking about myself. Well, you know what? In reality, like we were just saying, you are the only one that you can control. You have no ability. I mean, unless you're talking about, making sure that your 3-year-old doesn't like run across the street.
You got to change some diapers every now and then. We get
But changing the diapers is not because you want to. It's because you have to because it was out of your control.
I know. See? Well, still out of your control. Well,
still out of your control.
Blowout is out of your control for
sure. So being protective of you and what you want is really, I think, the
healthiest
thing to do, to really understand that the expectations that you have are really only for yourself, and then understanding that and being able to move on from there is a great way to be.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do too. I mean, I think that it's not selfish. It's actually, to be honest, I've never done that in my life until recently.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about this maybe a few series back, but people are feeling the pain of that a little bit, because I have become more protective, and I have become a little bit more self-aware, and that's a little startling sometimes when you see that growth and change, whether it's good or bad.
Right.
And I don't feel bad about it anymore. I used to feel bad because I would get more questions, and it's like, oh no, like then my guilt sets in, or my shame that I'm changing.
Right.
And I am changing for the better. I'm protecting who I am. And that really has made me a better person. It's made me a better friend. It's made me a better family member. And now that I finally stuck to my guns with it, and I'm seeing the change and the growth that's happening throughout my entire life, in business and personal, I will never take it for granted or take it back. It's so cool. I feel so, for once in my life, secure. I mean, it's still a crap show most of the time. I'm just really letting them go.
You're letting them go today. We gotta wrap it up.
I know. Shut her down. But yeah, I hope that you guys can feel that, understand that, learn about it. It's so different every day.
And I think too, really kind of what you were feeling was the people's expectations of you.
Yeah. You're darn getting right. We're getting right. That's for dang sure. And I used to take those on.
And used to take them on. And
it's pretty weighted.
I
weigh like 100 pounds. I can't be carried all this weight.
No, I know. I know. To think back to it, you got to just drop all that, and we got to drop all that, and that's hard sometimes. So
It is.
So, but
this was so fun.
I know. I'm
This was a
glad.
good one.
I'm glad, and we hope that this is helping in some way, a little bit, every time we
Every
have
time.
a chat.
Or like we said, you're having a good time with it.
Just listening to us, just watching us, crazy girls here.
Yeah, listening to our lives. Maybe it'll make yours look better. I'm
And
sure it
that's,
does.
and that's what we hope to. That's what we
right.
hope. Are we going to do an Instagram Live next Friday?
Next Friday, everyone. It really is going to happen. I promise. We were both out of the country.
We were both not in town, and we were trying
literally
really
not
hard
in the country, and we couldn't get
last
it.
time.
I know.
So.
I was doing my closing on my house.
I know. She's international, which is awesome.
I couldn't even get on a plane 3 years ago without having a panic attack. Look at me.
Look at you.
Hey, girl, I'm
Look at you, all that
grown.
grown. Look at you. I'm so proud. All right. We will see you next Friday on Instagram Live. We promise.
Hey, holler at us when you
Yes.
when you listen at this, and when we post about it tomorrow. Let us know how you handle
How you like
expectations.
it. Yeah.
Everybody's so different,
Yeah.
so I always love hearing different sides of the coin. Right? Like,
Yes.
what do you guys do to help
Yes.
yourself understand and evaluate expectations in your life, all around your life?
Yes.
Cool.
Great. Have a good day, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.